If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Imagine if you were under investigation and the investigator hated you,
all of the people,
disparaged you in all manner of ways. And fraternized with another employee working on your case
naked pictures,
who also hated you.
That's what the Peter Strzok extravaganza that's going on. Chad, you should take it serious. I'm not taking it serious. Nobody else takes it serious. Why should you? It's stupid. It's a waste of our time and money. It is. This is when you have too many hours to broadcast and you got nothing else going on. Like, that's what this is. We're like, we'll throw this on. It's grandstanding. It's a bunch of grandstanding. That's all it is. Grandstand. He grandstands, and they grandstand, and he grandstands a little bit more, and they talk about text messages. Do you really care about what he texts some girl? I mean, honestly, do you care?
You need to understand that was written late at night, off the cuff, and it was in response to a series of events that included then-candidate Trump insulting the immigrant family of a fallen war hero.
What?
And my presumption, based on that horrible, disgusting behavior, that the American population would not elect somebody demonstrating that behavior to be president of the United States.
That's that infamous "we'll stop him" text. Oh, jeez. Oh, God, you guys got him. You know all this has managed to do? Nothing. You're never going to find out the truth. The truth is muddled. It's destroyed. It's a crime scene, supposedly, that everybody in the world has trotted over 1,000 times. They've spilt stuff on it. They've had 2 parties. They had a polo game. And they've paved over the concrete, and we're supposed to figure out what's going on there. It's too late. Nobody cares. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting other people's time. You guys have other things to deal with that are more vital to the day-to-day workings of the individuals, the American people, and your constituents than this crap. All right? We got other stuff happening out there. There are other issues that we could talk about, like health care. And I talked a bit about it earlier, and healthcare is a perfect example of. And somebody texted and says, "Chad, healthcare and health insurance are different." Yeah, I know that. Just because you have a car doesn't mean you have good healthcare. But why are things out of control? Why is it? And I bring this up whenever we talk about it, that this thing in my hand, this computer in my hand, this computer that is in my hand, this cell phone, this smartphone, cost less to make, to market, and to sell to me than a plastic tube that somebody's going to get at the hospital. Right? Why is that? Because I know if I'm buying it at Walmart, it's going to cost me a penny. Why is it if I get it at the hospital, it costs me $15,000? What happens between the hospital and the Walmart? Do tell me. I would love to know. I'm all ears. Anybody? Oh, yeah. Administration costs, markups. We want to make sure we take losses. It's all a giant game. How about we deal with those issues? How about we do that? How about we deal with issues that matter? Those things matter. Grandstanding and saying a bunch of crap, to me, I'm not buying it. I don't care. I just, you know what? I mean, I sit here and I listen to them, and that's what a lot of it is. A lot of it is just super grandstanding. These, it doesn't matter who it is. It's Nadler, it's Trey Gowdy. They all get up there and they yell at each other, and it's like, hey, you got your 5 minutes. All right, I'm going to use 4.5 minutes. Hey, keep the camera on me. 4.5 minutes on me. Then I'm going to ask that guy a question. We may battle it out a little bit, and then we'll go from there. But then but maybe I like the guy, and so, because I got a D by my name. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell him he's doing a great job and maybe throw a softball at him, and then I will give up my time. It doesn't do anything. And it doesn't move the needle. And I'll say this. I will venture so far to say that 90% of you out here, except for the few of you who just live and die by this stuff because it's so partisan BS and for whatever reason you've chosen a side, but 99% of you don't care. If Peter Strzok walked in a room, you wouldn't know who he was. Right? You wouldn't know anything about the guy. You don't know who any of these people are. You don't know, and you don't care. I would venture so far to say you don't care. Because you just got your bill for something, and that matters more to you. And those are the things that we should be talking about. I still want to know why my cell phone, the cost of creating this thing, cost less than stuff in the hospital. Why is it $100 for aspirin? What about the aspirin makes it magical? Because it looks just like any other aspirin. Oh, but it's different. You see, we marked it up to a point of ridiculous because what we're going to do is you're going to dispute it, or somebody will, and they'll knock it down $99, and we'll take a $99 loss on our taxes, and then we'll get money back later on at the end of the year because we'll have to tell the government, oh, I see, it's a game. Yeah, Hollywood taught us this accounting, and it's working well for us. Why does it cost so much to stay here? Well, we have fountains. Oh, I see. Address the things that matter to the people. That's what matters. Address the things that matter to the people. Because the average person out there, you know what I did today? I woke up, I watched about 10 minutes of this, and then I flipped around and watched other stuff, and I watched a little bit more of it, and then I flipped around and watched some other stuff because it was just the same old same. And then my son called, and I spent 30 minutes talking to him about how he was so excited today because at camp, he's got BMXers coming at camp today. He says, Dad, guess what? The field trip's coming to us today. I said, no way. He goes, and then tomorrow's the best day ever because it's a camp. It's a pirate camp. So tomorrow, they're going to the beach, and they're digging stuff up, and they're looking for treasure, got all this stuff. We talked about that. And we talked about his football camp he's got coming up. We talked about school, getting ready for all those things. Those things matter to the American people, right? Those things, the things that matter day to day. Watching people grandstand, it doesn't do anything for anybody. It doesn't move the needle. Here what's moved the needle. Hey, guys, we know we broke health care, and we know we need to sort this out. And we know we need to give you guys options because we've gotten ourselves so entangled in this damn thing because of Obamacare that we're going to have to try to figure something out. So it makes it easier for you to have an actual relationship with your doctor in an affordable way where you actually get care that you actually care about for your health, as opposed to a card that costs you a lot of money and then a pre-timed visit to your doctor that you're told you only got 6 minutes because he's got to see 150 of these people, and it's ridiculous. Those are things that matter. Making sure that immigration reform is dealt with in a timely manner that is actual reform, that is a solvable problem that gets solved because you take on the problem to solve it, not to continually push it forward, kick the can, and profit from it. How about some of that? Who's up for that? Or we could just have more of this.
He thinks promising to stop someone he is supposed to be fairly investigating from ever becoming president isn't bias. He thinks talking about an insurance policy to keep someone from becoming president isn't bias.
Somebody texted me, yes, Chad, we care. Really, why do you care? I'm curious. Why do you care? Because I've got 100 other text messages and stuff flying through saying, no, I don't care. There are those people out there sitting on their couch, watching MSNBC, Fox, CNN, 24/7 that do care. But a majority of people that are waking up in the morning aren't going, I can't come to work today. Peter Strzok he's on Capitol Hill and he's talking. I can't come to work today because he sent a text that shows that he has a disdain for the president of the United States. I can't go to work today because, let me tell you, they're human beings. Of course they're going to have bias. We all have bias. We do. Does it mean that we can't get our job done? No. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. You get your job done. You can. The difference is, and this is when I look at something like this, is somebody who's really out to destroy somebody, they're going to do all they can, plant evidence, do whatever they need to do, right? Somebody who has bias, by and large, because all of us have bias as human beings, we may look a little harder for some stuff, but we're not going to plant stuff. We're not going to make stuff up. Do I think this guy doesn't like the president? I think it's easy to see. Do I think that we've gotten completely off the rails when it comes to this investigation? I think you could absolutely make an argument for that. But do I think that these people are conspiring to destroy the president? I do not. I do not. As far as the individuals like him and whatnot, because I don't think they have that kind of power. And I think somewhere along the line, everybody is smart enough to know, I'm going to get caught. And that what can I do that's going to do anything? I think the Mueller investigation is all about getting to the president. But I think as far as planting and doing some of these things, I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's a waste of everybody's time and money. And I think it's time that we start figuring this out and holding our leaders and the people that are supposed to be our leaders and our elected officials who work for us, treating them in a way that they know that they've got other things that are more important to the American people than crap like this and grandstanding and sound bites. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
Stormy Daniels plans to perform again tonight at Club Sirens in Columbus, where she was arrested last night, caught up in a sting operation and charged with touching 3 undercover officers in violation of state law. Her charges were later dropped after prosecutors agreed the law only applies to those who regularly work at sexually oriented businesses in the state. They said there's no evidence that Daniels is a regular performer at Sirens. Daniels on Twitter says she'll donate her profits tonight to the legal defense of 2 other dancers who were also arrested, but their charges were not dropped.
So let me get this right, producer Phil. Because she doesn't perform there regularly, it's not a crime. But if she was there, say, Thursday through Sunday on a regular basis, that's a crime. Same thing. Yes. I'm just trying to figure out the rules here in Ohio. I'm just trying to. So, Stormy, because you're just passing through like a storm in the night, you can grope that junk. But if it was a regular thing, you'd be going to jail. Who makes up these rules? How archaic and bizarre is that? Oh, my Lord. This is, just think about this for a second. In the world that we live in right now, Stormy Daniels is somewhat of a celebrity and is enjoying 15 minutes of fame in a major way. Just soak that up for a minute because of and not because of her adult acting, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but because of her relationship or non-relationship with the President of the United States. Just want everybody to literally feel that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Each and every day at this time, we drop it like it's hot around the country. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's muggy, sometimes it's humid, and sometimes it's pleasant. We call this our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
This one is car related. No, it's not hoopty. It's transportainment. What? Yeah. And this is for the dads out there. The kids will call you, oh, mom and dad, that's their transportainment car. You've got the daily driver that you like, but you're at that point in your life where you want something else. So you go out and you purchase something, a motorcycle, a dune buggy, an old fixer-upper car, because it's your cool, hip car. But it's not your daily driver. And the kids will go, oh, that's mom and dad's transportainment car. Especially if it's a motorcycle. That's super transportainment for mom and dad there. It's your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you.
That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
The United States commitment to NATO is very strong, remains very strong.
Yeah. And they're not going anywhere, and we're not going anywhere, and it was just that. Rhetoric and talk. Discussion, more frank than normal. Chuck Grassley came out today and even said, hey, presidents in the past, administrations in the past, people inside administrations in the past have asked our friends, our allies, to spend a little bit more. Trump just did it in a way that they're not used to. Boom. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Did you think that that hearing and all these things that are going on, this Peter Strzok, does that affect you? Do you even care? You can text the program 323-538-2423. Tweet at me at Chad Benson Show. My pillow is amazing. Last night, Phil tells me a story of literally putting his head on the pillow and waking up the next day magically. That's how amazing My Pillow is. You should try it out for yourself. I have not slept this good, maybe ever in my adult life, and it is amazing. It's 100% machine washable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. Right now, they got a BOGO going on. You buy one, you get one free. All you have to do is use the promo code Benson. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com and use that promo code Benson. A 10-year warranty is amazing. Offer is limited. Get your BOGO today of the MyPillow, where you buy one, you get one free. 800-944-4975, mypillow.com, promo code Benson. Paul Limon joins us. We'll talk a little tech, some weird tech today, because it's fun. It's that kind of Thursday for us. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Every once in a while, no matter who you are, famous, rich, powerful, you have to make the track that our tech guy, Paul Limon, is making. He's currently at the DMV, but he is making time for us today. And we hope you don't miss your number being called there, Paul. But let's talk a little tech. And we could probably call you in a week and you'd still be there. That's the beauty of the DMV in California. The craziness of meat. We're always trying to make a better meat. You know, this meat's tender, this meat's that. We did this to this animal, this, that, and the other. But now we're growing meat inside of labs. And are we ever going to eat that?
That's the big question, because now they can grow meat without any need for a cow or anything else. And it's apparently a tasty, good piece of meat. But nobody wants to eat lab-grown meat. That's their big hurdle. So they have a big plan. They're going to start feeding our pets lab-grown meat. So it's going to start in dog food. And in their minds, starting in dog food somehow will make us want to eat it more. I'm not sure how this strategy is working out, but they're going to start putting all these dog brands are going to start using lab-grown meat. And then hopefully that means that companies like, supermarkets will give you the options. And then, even probably at the end of the day, you'll have, because it's vegan choice, since it's lab-grown, you'll have companies like, McDonald's giving you vegan options, options for Big Macs.
Well, their stuff's grown in somewhere anyways, so it's not
their stuff's
real
already
meat. That's
grown.
what that's what we're always told. You know what's weird though about this is like I would have no problem, man. If it's a good piece of meat, I got no problem with it. I'll try it. I'm okay with that. It's odd because I eat like a 7-year-old. Sounds like somebody's taking the driver's test there. So, but here's my thing. Is it healthier? Are they making it healthier? Is it going to be one of those things, or is it going to be just like meat?
That's the cool thing about growing things. You can tailor it to what you want it to be. So because we've got all these crazy genetic technology that's coming out, we're going to be able to make a really flavorful piece of meat that could be super fatty, but doesn't have all the problems you have in just having a fatty piece of cow meat. So there's ways they're talking about taking out the cholesterol, doing all kinds of stuff that we fear when we eat meat. That's another good reason of why this is a cool alternative. But I do agree. To me, it is weird to say, I'm going to eat this thing that was grown like Jell-O. It was grown in molds and now is a piece of steak.
Yeah, but it looks like, the thing is, as long as it looks like it, as long as it looks like it smells like the texture's the same. I mean, if it's awful, then that's not going to do anything. If it's good, people are going to eat it. And I think in this world that we live in, you can get that hurdle. But here's the sad thing for all the animal rights activists. Once this happens, once all of this takes place, once we finally go, we can eat lab-grown stuff like this, there's no use for animals. Nobody's keeping these things as pets. And apparently they cause, all kinds of horrible things to the atmosphere. So we'll just eliminate them altogether.
We'll get rid of cows. Cow flatulence is supposed to be one of the largest contributors to, global warming. So if we stopped eating as much meat as we did, naturally, we could get rid of a lot of cow toots. And that would be a big help.
Cow farts is getting me on. Talking to Paul Limon, our superstar tech guy, as you just joined, and you hear we're talking about cow farts. All right, we go from there to something that's real. That we're advancing so far in medicine. Even though I think we're going to look back in 50 years and think, my God, we were just I can't even believe that we were as archaic as we were. But the reality is, we can do stuff now with inside the womb, and with babies being sick, we can even use stem cells in ways that are just amazing.
It's incredible. So this is the first time they've ever used stem cells to cure a genetic disease in the womb. So there's a disease that I'm not even going to try and pronounce, that really the only treatment would be if your child has it, they can identify it in the womb, but they'd have to start giving it transfusions, which then it would take for the rest of its life. And if you can find a bone marrow donor, that's the only way it would be cured. So as they got older, and that, of course, becomes more challenging and all kinds of problems. This baby, they identified the problem. They used stem cells to repair it, and it was born naturally. It wasn't, it was born just like a normal child without any signs of having this disease.
So
That's
they think
amazing.
if they can
And
get it before it comes out, while it's inside,
Yep.
it can repair itself. And in doing so, this may lead to other huge breakthroughs as we try to, we just talked about genetically modified meat. Why not genetically modify human beings if we can make them smarter, faster, stronger, all of those things?
And that's the scary side, because it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to cure this disease because that's going to be harmful for, the life of the child. And it's another to say, I want my kid to be able to be a super athlete, or I want my kid to be extra smart, and I'm going to start messing with the genes to try and achieve that. Then it becomes Gattaca. If you remember that whole movie where everybody was
I love
like,
that movie.
If you were genetically altered, you were one of the people that were allowed to do certain things. And if you were born naturally, you were kind of second-class citizens.
You were an outcast. There was two classes of people that were essentially perfect. They could run for hours. They could do all of this thing. They were brilliant. They were smart. They were beautiful. And then there was the ne'er-do-wells.
Exactly. And what you have is the ability for people, especially soon for the wealthy, to create designer babies, which I think everybody's heard of that term. And that will become the next step into this weirdness where I'm not happy enough with what me or my look like. We want to make sure our child looks like X and has these abilities, and I have the money to try and make that happen. That's where I think the morals of all things starts to fall into play. Is it right? I don't know, but it is weird.
It is weird, and we're trying it. Talking to Paul Limon, our tech guy from Arvada Labs and WearPlay. And last but least, we're lacking the bees in the world right now in certain areas, so we decided, hey, we'll just drone bee. And that is interesting right there. It's another way that we've used technology to infuse with nature to keep things going.
And you know what? Robots are taking everybody's jobs soon. They're taking the bees' jobs. There's a company that started a drone will fly through orchards. It's the first time it was done with apple orchards. It flew through the apple orchards and pollinated the trees. And it was a big test because so many of our bees are dying off, and we're not really sure why. And because of that, so they're trying to find all these solutions. So this is a really cool solution, but it really is a solution to what happens if all the bees are dead. We still should figure out why the bees are all dying. Yes. But it's really cool technology using these drones to be able to take the place of a bee and just, go through and pollinate things.
Well, I mean, that's the way that, we're doing things. And in some ways, it's great that we can design meat, maybe fix things inside the womb for a child and the bees. But we've got to figure out why was the child sick in the first place? Why do we eat so much red meat? And then why are the bees dying out? We're not asking. What we're doing is we're solving a problem, but we're not figuring out what the problem was so we can avoid it in the future.
100%. And I mean, and drones are going to be, and, robotics is going to be amazing. I wish I had a robot to stand in line for me at the DMV, but they're going to be an amazing part of our future. But that doesn't mean we should let them just take in step and let us ignore what problems we're finding, that we should find a solution for how nature's going wrong, not just how to patch it.
Just how to patch it. Very interesting. Paul Limon's his name. He's at the DMV. We're going to let you go get back in line because I have a weird feeling you've missed your thing, and that's just going to be so sad.
That would be horrible.
It would be horrible. You're going to be there for hours and hours, years and years. We'll call you next week. You're like, I'm still in line, Chad. We'll talk to you next Thursday, brother. Appreciate you taking time with us at the DMV.
Thank you. Bye.
323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I would eat designer meat. Now, Phil, you are a bit of a foodie because all your posts anymore are you and your girlfriend with food, and it's hilarious. But you are a bit of a foodie. Would you eat lab-grown meat?
I'll try it.
Yeah, see, I'll try it. But see, if for somebody like you who's also a foodie, but you love the process, as long as the process doesn't change, you're in, right? Yeah, because if it was just, no, you got to zap it, that's going to take away from part of the fun. And for me, I got no problem with it. And I've always wondered, for the vegans out there, and there are some, I'm sure, that listen to the show, some for just health reasons, some for whatever reason, that I would love not to eat so much red meat, but I'd also love a burger that really tastes like a burger. And people say, it tastes, no, it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't. Nobody, it doesn't, right? And I don't know why. Again, we go back to this thing. We put a man on the moon how many decades ago? We've done a lot. How are we in the situation where we can't make food that tastes like the food that we like and it's healthier? That should be if you want to solve a problem, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you want to solve a problem, there's two kinds of entrepreneurs in the world. They're the ones there's two kinds of people in the world are entrepreneurial. They find something they love and they do it, and it's great. But the one that makes, we think of entrepreneurs is the find a problem and fix it. And it would be great. Wouldn't it be great if you could find if you don't like the taste of fish, but it's great for you, and they manipulate it in a way that it tastes like something else and it's good for you. Beef. Growing it in the lab, I think would be awesome. If If you could grow it in a way that would be great for you to eat and maybe virtually no calories, how amazing would that be? It would be great. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. But I think moving forward, there's no way in life that we don't get to this point. I mean, we have genetically modified already, the GMOs for a lot of our crops. There's no reason why we can't get to a point where we have food that's put together in such a way that it actually be beneficial for us. And we don't have to worry so much about how much of it we eat. Because a lot of us, we love to have a steak every night, but it's not always great for us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Would you eat genetically modified meat, folks? Would that be something you'd try? And it's got to look like the meat. I think the biggest thing, the taste obviously has to be there, but I've eaten good pieces of meat and bad pieces of meat. But it's got to have a I'd say an 80-90% kind of taste to it that you would get from a good cut of steak or whatever, but it's got to have the look and the feel. I mean, you can't hand me something that looks like Jell-O, and it might taste like steak, but my mind and them are thinking, that's Jell-O, right? That's Jell-O. 323-538-2423. Life's expensive, as we know, something that can help you out. I've talked to two people today who have car issues. One, $1,500. And they're like, and the other one, it's going to be a lot. Transmission issues like that. They don't even know. They're still diagnosing it, but they're not happy. CarShield is in one of these people's lives, and that is sorting that out. The other one, extended vehicle protection from CarShield is amazing. Replacing your engine alone costs you thousands of dollars. Even a simple repair to your sensor, a little repair to that sensor, $1,000 right there. With CarShield, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car while yours is being fixed, and guess what? That's free. A rental car for free. And you choose the shop. Take it to the dealership. Take it to your favorite mechanic. They get it handled directly. The process of covered repairs has never been easier. CarShield makes it that way just for you. Save yourself thousands in future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate in extended vehicle protection like I did. Call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson or visit carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. That's carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10% or call 800-CAR-6100. Remember to use code Benson to save you that 10%. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It is The Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
Paul just texted me, our tech guy. He's like, I'm still in line. Is there anything like, if that's one of those places, right, where you have to go? Like, I don't, who gets to skip it? I'm sure in certain circumstances, certain people, like Michael Jackson in his day, probably could have figured out a way to get to the DMV around it. They would have done something special for him, not just because he's Michael Jackson, right? Because there's a lot of famous people, but because of the stink he would have caused being there would have been so ridiculous. And in this day and age of insanity with social media, 20 years ago, you could have showed up there. People that had cell phones and they would have called and go, or took a picture and say, guess what? Now you could just post it out there and boom. The DMV is just one of those places. Pretty much doesn't matter how powerful you are, how much money you have, how famous you are. You got to go there and you got to deal with it. You do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So the Emmy nominations are out, and it's not. This is my take on the Emmy nominations. It's not fair for broadcast television to compete with the likes of Netflix, Amazon, HBO, Hulu, because they have carte blanche to do anything they want. They have no restrictions on language, on nudity, on any of these things. and the time frame, right? They want to do a 47-minute episode, they can do a 47-minute episode. If they want to do a 90-minute episode, they can do a 90-minute episode. So not all episodes are the same, where you have restrictions inside of all of the TV world. And I think if we're going to do the Emmys, they should split it up. I think it's only fair that they just say, we're going to split it up because it's not fair because you guys have to go through so many hoops that others don't. One thing, though, that did happen today is Laurie Metcalf, who was on Roseanne, did get something.
One big question was, how would Roseanne do after the cancellation controversy? The show nabbed just one nomination.
Girls can be whatever they want to be.
Supporting actress for Laurie Metcalf.
Yep. Supporting actress and they got another one too for, I think it was like, 2-camera comedy, one of those things. That's the Emmy you get in the morning. But, the reality is that the domination was Netflix. Netflix, for the first time in 18 years, leads anybody. HBO's been leading the last 18 years. And again, that's where to me, I find it to be unfair. And so, but you got the usual stuff, all of which I've not seen. The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, not seen that at all. Game of Thrones, The Crown. I saw a bit of The Crown, but Saturday Night Live got a lot, and I was shocked by how much they got. Let's see here. Atlanta, not seen. Barry, I saw one episode. Curb Your Enthusiasm, I've seen episodes long ago. Silicon Valley, I saw episodes long ago. Unbreakable Kimmy Ship. What is this? The Marvelous Miss Maisel? That's the one that everybody thinks is going to sweep. I didn't hear about it until today. I gotta get out there, Phil. So do you. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Tweet your love, tweet your hate. And by the way, the hearings are still going on with Peter Strzok. He is struck in this place. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The disgrace, what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
The credibility of a witness is always an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Those are our elected officials. Those are our elected. Oh, Mr. Chairman, please. Oh, for the love of God. Peter Strzok was in the spotlight today. It's just a bunch of crap. It really is. Doesn't do anything. It's not fixing anything. We didn't find anything out. If you still think Trump's guilty, nothing today came out of it changes your mind. If you think he's innocent and that there's no bias and there's bias in the FBI and that they're coming after him, that didn't change your mind. Everything that you thought yesterday, you think today. And those are the people that paid attention. Everybody else, which is the majority of America, didn't care. Peter Strzok walked right in. Right now, you would know who he is. Because you don't care. Because you're busy with life. That's it. That's it. I mean, that's the reality of this. And the thing is now, think of this. There's potentially a crime scene. But since the potential crime scene and the crime potentially could have happened, people have walked over it. They've dug it up. They've paved over it. They've had a football game, a polo game. They've put in a pool. We've had several changes of seasons. And essentially what I'm saying is you're never going to know the truth. It's muddied up. It's nasty. It's damaged beyond repair. We're not going to know anything because it is so partisan rhetoric and the BS is so ridiculous. And you're the holes that, you could come out with something and it could be real. But unless it's a picture of him and Putin high-fiving each other and Putin saying, I did it, you're going to say to yourself, I could poke holes in that. And Mueller could come out today, and say, we've investigated, and while we have found some issues, none of it leads to Trump. Trump didn't do anything, and that he is no longer part of the investigation of what we're looking at now with the likes of Manafort and all these other people. And you know what? People go, let me poke holes in that. It's stupid. It is. And it's frustrating. Because there are so many things that we should be talking about. There are so many things that we should be looking at. There are so many things that need to be addressed. Things that they have broken and that only they can fix. And that's frustrating. That is absolutely frustrating. It really, really is. And I just sit here and I shake my head. I shake my head because we have people that are essentially they're civil servants. They work for us. They serve us. We are their customers. And they're giving us bad service or no service. They're ignoring the thing. And the things that we need the most to be addressed. Things that we would love to change, but because of rules and regulations and BS, we can no longer do that. And so it is up to them, the lawmakers, to get with it. And how do they spend their time? Talking about text messages, talking about is there any bias in the FBI, talking about all kinds of crap that for all intents and purposes plays very little to you or I. Just doesn't. It does not. And that is frustrating. It really, really is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Paul Ryan was out there today talking. This was great. He was talking about the abolishing of ICE, right? Like ICE. We got to get rid of ICE. ICE is bad. It's evil. You hear about it 24/7. This is the left's newest thing is to get rid of. And I'm not talking again. When I talk about the left, the far left, the progressive, I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about that part of the party that has left the area where the Democrats are and are doing their own thing and some of the craziness that they're screaming about.
This is the agency that gets gangs out of our communities, that helps prevent drugs from flowing into our schools, that rescues people from human trafficking. They want to get rid of this agency. It's the craziest position I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, kids, it gets better.
They're tripping over themselves to move too far to the left. They're out of the mainstream of America, and that's one of the reasons why I feel very good about this fall.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. And I've said it on numerous occasions. I was talking to a Democrat last night who said that doesn't recognize the party anymore. He says, I don't recognize the party like I used to. I feel like the people that are having the microphones, the people that are screaming the loudest, the people that are getting the most press, they've abandoned me. I haven't abandoned them. They've abandoned me. And I'm like, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. And And the further left they run, the more of an opportunity, if the Republicans got their act together, there would be these Democrats, these moderate Democrats, which is a good majority of the Democrats, right? Which is a good majority. People say, oh my God, did you see all those people marching in the streets? And there's like 500,000 people. We have 350 million people that live in this country, give or take. It's not what you think it is. It's a huge crowd, don't get me wrong. But let's slow our roll. So when you think about what could be ripe for the taking, it's this. And I look at the Republicans and I think, I don't know if they can get their act together.
They have really jumped the sharks on the left.
I love that. I feel like they've kind of just jumped it a little bit, just a smidge, just like, woo! Because when you start talking, and I was talking, because we've got a couple people that work here, in the building here that are very, very left, and the abolishing ICE sounds great, and except for the part where they want to replace it or do anything like that. They just want to get rid of it. That's the whole thing. I don't like it, so let's get rid of it. No, it doesn't work that way. There are things they do that you don't understand. You see them as one thing, as this rogue element running amok. And I'm not saying that at times they haven't maybe overstepped their boundaries or done some stuff that but they do a greater good than that. Like a lot of things that we do here, we judge them on one thing, which is ridiculous. But I'm willing to listen. You want to get rid of ICE? What are you going to replace it with? What are you going to replace it with? What are you doing to replace it? What are we going back to? Are we going back to INS? Are we going back to what are we going to do as a replacement? And a lot of times they look at you with this look like, and they turn their head a little bit, they cock their head a little bit like a dog, because you think the dog can understand, right? Like you're talking to the dog. What, Timmy? Timmy, I got something to tell you. What? And you're like, he doesn't understand. So what is it? Well, we're going to have a new agency. It's going to be a kinder and gentler agency. Okay, explain. Kinder, gentler, how? What are we going to do? What is going to be the thing? How are we fixing immigration? What exactly it is? And that's where saying it's going to be a new agency, it's going to be a kinder, gentler agency doesn't make it that's the end of the story. Right? Okay, explain it all. Break it down for me from top to bottom. I would like to know. What are they doing with human trafficking? What are they doing to fight the gangs? What are they going to do? By the way, they do a lot of different stuff that we just find out. We're like, I didn't even know they were part of that. What are we doing if you want to replace it? What is it going to be in its? Because you're not going to. First of all, it's government, so you're not taking something away, and there's going to be an empty void because that takes away government jobs. So what are you going to do? What are you going to fold it into, and what's going to be their responsibilities? You can call them ICE. You could call them nice. Whatever it is. You want to call them nice? Does that make it better? Maybe that makes it better. Maybe if we made it nice, we call them nice. If we call them nice, it'll be great. Right? It'll be National Immigration Customs Enforcement. Nice. Feel like, oh, yeah, I work for NICE. Oh, that's cool. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet along with us. AMAC, they're amazing. Incredible. Huge. Let me tell you what AMAC does. And I want you guys to understand this, right? This is, if you're 50 and over and you look and all you see out there is, you thought, is ARP it? And that doesn't really jive with me and my political beliefs or my values. That's where AMAC comes in. AMAC is huge, amazing. And all those great benefits, do you think, well, I'll be giving it up? Nope, they're all there. How about 40% off at movies? How about 40% off at places like Disneyland, Disney World, Legoland, SeaWorld, travel discounts, all kinds of discounts. They're amazing. And on top of that, you're also supporting an organization that supports you and stands for your values, like protecting borders with common sense immigration reform, getting rid of Obamacare, Social Security, fighting for that in a way that makes sense. And right now, for my listeners, they're allowing you to join for free. Now, free costs nothing. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Say thank you and join today. Go to amac.us/Chad. All right? Now, no trick, no cost, no credit card required, just a free membership. It is incredible. Go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. Again, that's 888-355-1668. So simple and easy, right? You got that? Or online at amac.us/Chad. And I'm telling you, there's no gimmick, nothing like that. It's free to join. Join today, amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. One word destroys your life. Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
You have to ask yourself, does the punishment fit the crime? We often, especially in the world of social media, I talked to Kurt Nurmi last night, who was the defense attorney for Jodi Arias, and he talked about in this day and age of social media, the infamy you can gain is so fast, and you can get hammered so fast in social media, and you can have your life just ruined. And you ask yourself, does the punishment always fit the crime? And in the Me Too generation and a lot of other things that we live in now, there is that sense that we dogpile on something and we destroy it. We used to in this country, sometimes people would get knocked off their pedestal and they would fall back down. And then we loved a comeback story. I think in this country, we don't want the comeback story anymore. We don't. Unless it's a comeback story where, like, okay, this person had a drug problem, we're fine with you coming back. But this person over here said a bad word, and we want you destroyed forever, and we want your life completely ruined. Or this person supported this cause. Case in point, this situation with what's in a word. And is this person racist? Or was he making a point about something, and he said something that he shouldn't have said?
The pizza executive reportedly complained that Colonel Sanders called blacks the N-word without facing public backlash. He also reportedly said that growing up in Indiana, people used to drag African Americans from trucks until they died. Schnatter confirmed the incident to Forbes, acknowledging that he did use inappropriate and hurtful language, adding that regardless of the context, I apologize. Simply stated, racism has no place in our society. But after backlash online, Schnatter was forced to give up his board seat at the University of Louisville. And on Wednesday, the company he started announced that they accepted his resignation as chairman of the board.
And you're asking yourself this. Look, a few of the baseball teams and stuff backed away. But my question is, does the punishment fit the crime? Because what he was trying to explain was, this is what this guy says. And he would go out and say something like this. And I grew up in Indiana, and they would pull black people out of cars, and they would beat them, and they would lynch them and do all kinds of. It was horrible. It was horrific. And there's no place for any of that. And in all of that, if that's what he said, and he did say that word because this is what happened to Colonel Sanders, and he said this, is that the punishment to lose everything? Is it? And are we letting somebody who is in, Kingman, Arizona, who's got a Twitter account with 7 followers, start to dictate things? It's a fair question to ask. Again, I don't know. He could be a racist for all I know. He could have just been saying something, and as he's saying something, explaining to him, talking about all this stuff and how racism's bad, he says that word, and the next thing you know, you're a racist automatically. It really is a question I think we should ask going forward in life. Does the punishment fit the crime? I think it's fair to ask those questions. Again, I don't know him. I wasn't there. But he's not the first, and dare I say this, he won't be the last. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is the Twitter. You can tweet at us. Kurt Ellis joins us straight ahead. We're going to talk about immigration and trade tariffs. Are we in a trade war? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I am a free trader. I do want the president to level the playing field with countries that have more barriers to trade than we do. The uncertainty of it is very bad, and we do know this, that if the president, the negotiator brings these negotiations to the brink, and if he doesn't go over the brink, we know that it's going to be better for the United States, but if he does go over the brink, it's going to be catastrophic.
Ah, catastrophic. That's a big word right there. Chuck Grassley talking about tariffs and trade, and we touched on it the last couple of days. And joining us now, Curtis Ellis. We love having you on the show as Senior Policy Advisor for America First. You listen to that, Curtis, and some people are worried. Are we headed for a big trade war? Is the going over the cliff coming, or is this just the beginning of some short fighting, and then eventually things will be okay?
Look, this is the delayed response to 30 years of deliberate economic aggression on the part of China and other countries. For a way long time now, China in specific, but there have been other offenders, have deliberately subsidized their industries, given government assistance to so-called private industries so they can gain an unfair advantage over American competition. They have exploited the fact that they don't have environmental laws, they don't have labor laws, they don't have social security laws. They can just take land from peasants and give it to American companies to relocate to China. At the same time, we have had American companies and American executives who identify more closely with their paycheck than they do with their fellow Americans, and are willing to, destroy communities for the sake of the bottom line. So I think that this is going to shake out. Finally, we have a president who is willing to stand up for American workers, stand up for the American principles of private property and fair play, and let the people who care about America compete fairly on a level playing field. And that's what these tariffs are all about. It's about leveling the playing field against unfair foreign competition. I was speaking to a farmer yesterday, a rancher, and she said rural America is 100% behind President Trump because we understand there's a problem that needs to be corrected. And farmers, better than most, understand what it's like to be at the mercy of faraway, concentrated economic power. When there's only one or two people bidding for their crops, they can manipulate the market and drive down prices and screw the farmers. And that's the kind of game that China's playing in every industry. They want to control the steel industry, be the sole producer in the world. And then everybody who buys steel is going to be at the mercy of the Chinese to buy at whatever price China sets. That's not right. And President Trump's going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Talking to Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor for America First Policies. We're a consumer-based nation. You know that. We like our stuff, stock them deep and sell them cheap. And we worry about rising prices. We worry about stuff that ends up costing us more money. And that's one of the things here because we've become this consumer-based nation. We like to consume it. You name it, we'll buy it. Illegal or legal. And this could have a bit of an effect on that. But again, I don't think this is going to be a long-term fight, but I do, protracted issue. But I do think there is some worry out there that could also hurt the economy and slow it down a little bit.
Well, I think that you raise a good point. Some of I think the costs are exaggerated. To be quite honest, what is the I don't know what you were talking about, steel or aluminum or some other, even if you want to talk about apparel and clothing, the final price that you see and you pay at the at the cash register is probably twice or three times the wholesale price. Okay, so and then if the component, the amount that goes, so automatically you have to reduce everything by 1/3. It's 1/3 of the final price, and then maybe 10% of that price, of that 1/3, 10% of 1/3 of the final price that we're looking at would be affected by a tariff, right? If we're putting a 10% tariff on aluminum, and the aluminum is only maybe 25% of the price of that finished good, and the price of the finished good is already diminished by 2/3 because they're talking wholesale price, not retail price. So we're really talking about a very small increase here. But we're also producers as well as consumers. If we're not producers and don't have jobs, we're not going to have the money to be the consumers of anything unless we're buying it on food stamps and with a welfare check. So, we got to look at both sides of the equation here. If we're not producers, we can't afford to be consumers. And yes, we should be, obviously in the back of our minds or in the front of our minds, we're worried about the prices we pay. We don't want to pay more. But when you look, too, at the long list of items now, there's 10,000 items that are being hit or proposed to be hit with tariffs. Automobile parts, vacuum cleaner parts, various drugs, chemicals that go into the making of drugs and plastics. You got to ask yourself, why are we importing all this stuff? We used to make it. We used to make it here. So what kind of bargain is it that we're getting usually an inferior version of something we used to make here? And it may be a little cheaper, but it's also, as I said, an inferior version. But what we've lost are the jobs and the ability to support our own communities and support the local baseball teams and softball teams and, sports teams and church groups and everything else that comes into having a vibrant, healthy community of people who are working rather than being on welfare. You got to ask yourself those bigger questions.
The reality is, Curtis, I'm talking to Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor for America First Policies. You talk about that, but it goes back again to price. And the fact is it's not a little bit more, inexpensive. It's a lot more inexpensive. And part of that is because we put so many rules and regulations and so many hoops and so much ridiculousness of the things and the laws that we have to get to make half this stuff that at some point in time, it becomes like, I can't sell it for what it costs to make because nobody could afford to buy it. And that is part of the problem that I think, they're trying to address along the way.
Absolutely. That's what, President Trump talked about this during the campaign. And I'm now touring the country with Vice President Pence on our tour, Tax Cuts to Put America First. This is what President Trump talked about during the campaign. To get our economy moving again and to get Americans working again and to get us producing again, we've got to have tax cuts, regulatory cuts, cut back the regulations, cut back the taxes, reform our trade deals, and reform energy. It takes so much to get energy out of the ground and get it from the ground to the market to get a pipeline permitted. It's ridiculous. You have to do all of those things. So we absolutely need, that's what the tax cuts were about, and we're starting to see the effects of it already. People are getting raises, and we also, I'll throw in too, you need immigration reform. We can't be bringing in millions of people a year who will work for nothing or next to nothing just to have the privilege of living in this country. And you can't do that and expect wages to go up. So you have immigration reform, you have reduced the levels of immigration, both legal and illegal, tax cuts, cut back the regulatory state, which is just out of control, and have trade reform, and then you're going to see a prosperous nation again. That will make America great again.
You know, you talk about immigration reform, Curtis, and one thing I floated out there, I lived in Europe for a while, for a long while. And, you know, the Europeans, they had that one thing where, you know, once you're a part of Europe, you were able to travel and work within these countries freely, which you also had to follow by their rules, which helped keep wages, obviously, in a much better way. And I said, I don't know why we don't look at something like that between Canada, Mexico, and ourselves. Obviously, a certain amount of work visas that would be given out, some of them temporary, some of them a little bit longer. But what that would do is I think that would stabilize a lot of this and make that wage a much better, more stable area comparatively, because you'd have to play by those rules and enforce those rules in a better way that we're not doing now, because you know what? People are looking for that cheap labor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, there are certain, agriculture. You know, look, we've always used, whether you want to call it migrant labor, temporary workers at harvest time. That happens within our country and between our country and Mexico. You need to have a regulated system to allow that type of temporary labor to come in. And I've talked to orchardmen and farmers up in upstate New York, where they actually grow fruit, and they need this temporary labor to do that. They used to get it sometimes from the inner cities up there, but sometimes they have to get it from Mexico. And they're willing to pay decent wages, you know. I mean, these people are earning $15 an hour and paying into Social Security and paying all the taxes. So that needs to happen. What we can't have is the deliberate exploitation of cheap labor from overseas to undercut American wages. And this is a story that's as old, again, as old as the Industrial Revolution. You had one of the founders of the American labor movement back in the 1900s agitating to have restrictions on immigration from the 1890s. He said the big employers were bringing in people from Europe, which at that time was dirt poor, bringing in workers from Europe to undercut American wages. And these big corporate interests that were doing that to, you know, work in the mines and the steel mills, they were aided and abetted by a host of sentimentalists, as he called them. These poor people, we've got to help them out, everybody in the world. And what old Sam Gompers, the labor leader, said was, look, we need these people, they deserve better wages and all. They need to be agitating to fixing the conditions in their own country, back there in Italy and Europe. And I'm talking to the labor leaders there saying, don't send your people over here to undercut our wages. You get them to agitate for better conditions in their countries. Because I'll tell you what, finally, Chad, most people would rather stay home. Most of these, even these migrants, they would rather be back if they could earn a living in their own country. They'd rather be there with their grandpa and grandma and cousins and extended families and, you know, the place where they grew up and have all the memories of childhood. They really would rather be there if they could, if they weren't being exploited or, you know, whatever. Some of them think they're going to come to the land where the streets are paved with gold and make a great living in America. But, you know, we can't just let everybody in. This is not a sanctuary nation.
Nope, it's not. Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor for America First Policies. You go out there, have fun. Have fun with Vice President Pence today, and we'll talk to you soon, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, man. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. And that part, which I've talked about, you know, the mess that these countries are in and that these governments have allowed their countries to become so corrupt and so just back-assward, and they fall apart. And these people feel they have no other choice. I'll tell you this. I lived in England off and on for over a decade, and I absolutely loved it. I considered England my second home. And you know what? It wasn't my home. It wasn't. And eventually, I wanted to come back. I did. And I wasn't a migrant farm worker. I had great opportunities. I played soccer. I worked in radio. I did a lot of stuff. I had a great time there. But eventually, this is my home. This is where I wanted to be. And I think if you ask a lot of these people, they would love to see their countries get to a point where they could have something similar. Maybe it won't be America, but it'll be something similar. And they have opportunities. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
You call it ridiculous. We call it reality. With a twist. Say what?
Say what? This makes me laugh. We're going to talk about it. Soundbite maybe of the week. This is how you don't start a chant.
I want you all to join me in what I said earlier. Clean air, clean water, clean government. Let's do that together. Clean air,
water,
clean air,
water,
clean
government.
Clean air,
water,
clean air,
water, clean government.
Thank you.
And I will just end by saying, are you all ready to work to make sure we're putting people over polluters?
You can turn that into your ringtone if you want. That is spectacular. Clean. Okay, hold water. Just one person just kept saying water. Clean water. That's all I know. I'm getting 1 of 3 right. I've got a clean government, clean air, clean water. No, wait, hold. What? Say what? Nancy, it's just time to hang it up. It's time to hang it up. Time to hang up those dentures. It really is. And the other say what is people yesterday were calling me liar. As if they don't have access to the internet or anything like this. You're a liar, Chad. There's no way that she could be a billionaire.
I'm Kylie Jenner, and I am the founder of Kylie Cosmetics.
And she's about to become a billionaire, says Forbes, which puts Jenner on the cover of its upcoming America's Women Billionaires issue. They say her cosmetics company is worth $800 million, and her other interests are worth another $100, so the 20-year-old will likely be a billionaire by this time next year. The youngest self-made billionaire ever, beating Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, who was a ripe old 23 when he joined the club. Jenner's advice to aspiring billionaires, do what you love.
So you just have fun every day, and you love what you do.
People are like, Chad, you're a liar. No, she is. Say what? And I think it's great. I got no problem with it. And you know, the hate that's out there, it's all jealousy. Because I talked about this earlier today, and then people just, people are stupid every day. Why they buy some stuff like that? Trash. And I'm like, jealousy. Say what? My Pillow. That is something that is amazing. Producer Phil, tell the people, if you would, what happened last night when you got your My Pillow.
I laid down, I closed my eyes, I woke up, it was morning. It was amazing.
Amazing, kids. Incredible. Now, My Pillow, as you all know, 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. All of that stuff is great. Sleep like a baby. Oh, you will. You will. But right now, for the listeners of the Chad Benson Show, a little BOGO for you. Buy one, get one. Simple as that. BOGO. Buy one, get one. What does that mean? Well, when you call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com, you get a buy one, and for free, you get another one. You got to use the promo code Benson. And remember, you are going to sleep so amazing. You might just say, Chad, I got to get more of this. How do I do it? Well, it's simple, kids. Go to mypillow.com, use my promo code Benson, so simple and easy, BENSON, or you can call 800-944-4975 and use that promo code Benson, and you'll get that pillow and another pillow, and you will sleep much like Phil did and much like I did. Your head will hit the pillow, and then you'll wake up, and it's morning, and you'll feel refreshed, and you'll be a better person. mypillow.com, promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Imagine if you were under investigation and the investigator hated you,
all of the people,
disparaged you in all manner of ways, and fraternized with another employee working on your case
Naked pictures.
who also hated you.
As with the Peter Strzok extravaganza that's going on. Chad, you should take it serious. I'm not taking it serious. Nobody else takes it serious. Why should you? It's stupid. It's a waste of our time and money. It is. This is when you have too many hours to broadcast and you got nothing else going on. Like, that's what this is. We're like, we'll throw this on. It's grandstanding. It's a bunch of grandstanding. That's all it is. Grandstand. He grandstands, and they grandstand, and he grandstands a little bit more, and they talk about text messages. Do you really care about what he texts some girl? I mean, honestly, do you care?
You need to understand that that was written late at night, off the cuff, and it was in response to a series of events that included then-candidate Trump insulting the immigrant family of a fallen war hero.
What?
In my presumption, based on that horrible, disgusting behavior, that the American population would not elect somebody demonstrating that behavior to be president of the United States.
That's that infamous "we'll stop him" text. Oh, jeez. Oh, God, you guys got him. You know all this has managed to do? Nothing. You're never going to find out the truth. The truth is muddled. It's destroyed. It's a crime scene, supposedly, that everybody in the world has trotted over 1,000 times. They've spilt stuff on it. They've had 2 parties. They had a polo game. And they've paved over the concrete, and we're supposed to figure out what's going on there. It's too late. Nobody cares. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting other people's time. You guys have other things to deal with that are more vital to the day-to-day workings of the individuals, the American people, and your constituents than this crap. All right? We got other stuff happening out there. There are other issues that we could talk about, like healthcare. And I talked a bit about it earlier, and healthcare is a perfect example of. And somebody texted and says, "Chad, healthcare and health insurance are different." Yeah, I know that. Just because you have a car doesn't mean you have good healthcare. But why are things out of control? Why is it? And I bring this up whenever we talk about it, that this thing in my hand, this computer in my hand, this computer that is in my hand, this cell phone, this smartphone, cost less to make, to market, and to sell to me than a plastic tube that somebody's going to get at the hospital. Right? Why is that? Because I know if I'm buying it at Walmart, it's going to cost me a penny. Why is it if I get it at the hospital, it costs me $15,000? What happens between the hospital and the Walmart? Do tell me. I would love to know. I'm all ears. Anybody? Oh, yeah. Administration costs, markups. We want to make sure we take losses. It's all a giant game. How about we deal with those issues? How about we do that? How about we deal with issues that matter? Those things matter. Grandstanding and saying a bunch of crap, to me, I'm not buying it. I don't care. I just, you know what? I mean, I sit here and I listen to them, and that's what a lot of it is. A lot of it is just super grandstanding. These, you know, it doesn't matter who it is. It's Nadler, it's Trey Gowdy. They all get up there and they yell at each other. And it's like, hey, you got your 5 minutes. All right, I'm going to use 4.5 minutes. Hey, keep the camera on me. 4.5 minutes on me. Then I'm going to ask that guy a question. We may battle it out a little bit, and then we'll go from there. But then but maybe I like the guy, and so. Because I got a D by my name. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell him he's doing a great job and maybe throw a softball at him, and then I will give up my time. It doesn't do anything. And it doesn't move the needle. And I'll say this. I will venture so far to say that 90% of you out here, except for the few of you who just live and die by this stuff because it's so partisan BS and for whatever reason you've chosen a side, but 99% of you don't care. If Peter Strzok walked in a room, you wouldn't know who he was. Right? You wouldn't know anything about the guy. You don't know who any of these people are. You don't know, and you don't care. I would venture so far to say you don't care. Because you just got your bill for something, and that matters more to you. And those are the things that we should be talking about. I still want to know why my cell phone, the cost of creating this thing, cost less than stuff in the hospital. Why is it $100 for aspirin? What about the aspirin makes it magical? Because it looks just like any other aspirin. Oh, but it's different. You see, we marked it up to a point of ridiculous because what we're going to do is you're going to dispute it or somebody will, and they'll knock it down $99, and we'll take a $99 loss on our taxes, and then we'll get money back later on at the end of the year because we'll have to tell the government, oh, I see, it's a game. Yeah, Hollywood taught us this accounting, and it's working well for us. Why does it cost so much to stay here? Well, we have fountains. Oh, I see. Address the things that matter to the people. That's what matters. Address the things that matter to the people. Because the average person out there, you know what I did today? I woke up, I watched about 10 minutes of this, and then I flipped around and watched other stuff, and I watched a little bit more of it, and then I flipped around and watched some other stuff because it was just the same old same. And then my son called, and I spent 30 minutes talking to him about how he was so excited today because at camp, he's got BMXers coming at camp today. He says, Dad, guess what? The field trip's coming to us today. I said, no way. He goes, and then tomorrow's the best day ever because it's a camp. It's a pirate camp. So tomorrow, they're going to the beach, and they're digging stuff up, and they're looking for treasure, all stuff. We talked about that. And we talked about his football camp he's got coming up. We talked about school, getting ready for all those things. Those things matter to the American people, right? Those things, the things that matter day to day. Watching people grandstand, it doesn't do anything for anybody. It doesn't move the needle. Here what's moved the needle. Hey, guys, we know we broke health care. And we know we need to sort this out. And we know we need to give you guys options because we've gotten ourselves so entangled in this damn thing because of Obamacare that we're going to have to try to figure something out. So it makes it easier for you to have an actual relationship with your doctor in an affordable way where you actually get care that you actually care about for your health, as opposed to a card that costs you a lot of money and then a pre-timed visit to your doctor that you're told you only got 6 minutes because he's got to see 150 of these people, and it's ridiculous. Those are things that matter. Making sure that immigration reform is dealt with in a timely manner that is actual reform, that is a solvable problem that gets solved because you take on the problem to solve it, not to continually push it forward, kick the can, and profit from it. How about some of that? Who's up for that? Or we could just have more of this.
He thinks promising to stop someone he is supposed to be fairly investigating from ever becoming president isn't bias. He thinks talking about an insurance policy to keep someone from becoming president isn't bias.
Somebody texted me, yes, Chad, we care. Really, why do you care? I'm curious. Why do you care? Because I've got 100 other text messages and stuff flying through saying, no, I don't care. There are those people out there sitting on their couch, watching MSNBC, Fox, CNN, 24/7 that do care. But a majority of people that are waking up in the morning aren't going, I can't come to work today. Peter Strzok he's on Capitol Hill and he's talking. I can't come to work today because he sent a text that shows that he has a disdain for the president of the United States. I can't go to work today because, let me tell you, they're human beings. Of course they're going to have bias. We all have bias. We do. Does it mean that we can't get our job done? No. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. You get your job done. You can. The difference is, and this is when I look at something like this, is somebody who's really out to destroy somebody, they're going to do all they can, plant evidence, do whatever they need to do, right? Somebody who has bias, by and large, because all of us have bias as human beings, we may look a little harder for some stuff, but we're not going to plant stuff. We're not going to make stuff up. Do I think this guy doesn't like the president? I think it's easy to see. Do I think that we've gotten completely off the rails when it comes to this investigation? I think you could absolutely make an argument for that. But do I think that these people are conspiring to destroy the president? I do not. I do not. As far as the individuals like him and whatnot, because I don't think they have that kind of power. And I think somewhere along the line, everybody is smart enough to know I'm going to get caught. And that what can I do that's going to do anything? I think the Mueller investigation is all about getting to the president. But I think as far as planting and doing some of these things, I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's a waste of everybody's time and money. And I think it's time that we start figuring this out and holding our leaders and the people that are supposed to be our leaders and our elected officials who work for us, treating them in a way that they know that they've got other things that are more important to the American people than crap like this and grandstanding and sound bites. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Investing is important. Diversification is important. What do you do to diversify? For a lot of people, you allow your broker to sort it out for yourself. They'll ask you some questions. You'll answer it. They'll give you some suggestions. Pay attention. You'll say it sounds good and you move on. Tiki Tawari from the Palm Beach Letters put together something. It's the future of investing. It is called cryptocurrency, and I think everybody should have a little bit of it. But first, you, not your broker telling you something, but you need to learn about it. And that's what he's done. This course is amazing. Teaches the ins, the outs, the ups and downs of how you go about investing in the future of investing, which is cryptocurrency. Check it out for yourself. You'll find out that more and more of the big boys and big girls are getting in the game. Why shouldn't you be a part of that? AmazingCryptoClass.com. It's AmazingCryptoClass.com. AmazingCryptoClass.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
Hey, producer Phil. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you want to hear the soundbite of the day that will make you smile to the point where you may want to make it your ringtone?
Hit me.
Okay.
I want you all to join me in what I said earlier. Clean air, clean water, clean government. Let's do that together. Clean air,
water,
clean air,
water,
clean
government.
Clean air,
water,
clean air,
water,
clean
government.
Thank you.
And I will just end by saying, are you all ready to work to make sure we're putting people over polluters?
That's my ringtone.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my.
Clean. Okay, so you guys. Okay, well, you do it, and then I'm going to do it, and then we'll do. You guys, no, dude, you got one job. It's just, this is it. You say clean air, clean. Is it clean water? Is it clean? Let's listen to that again. It's the way she gets the crowd roaring.
I want you all to join me in what I said earlier. Clean air, clean water, clean government. Let's do that together. Clean air,
water,
clean air,
water,
clean
government.
Clean air,
water,
clean air,
water,
clean
government.
Thank you.
And I will just end by saying, are you...
Oh, God. There you go, kids. Here's soundbite of the day right there. So the person just kept saying water, clean water, clean air, clean government, clean water, clean what? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Some of you tweeting in, some of you texting in, because I kind of went on a little rant about the fact that I just find a lot of these hearings to be absolutely useless. I don't think they do anything. I don't think they benefit anybody. And I think it's more about, can I get, can I say something crazy? Can I grandstand a little bit? What does that get me? And it's stupid. It's stupid. It really is. And so much of what surrounds this president, again, he has a lot of faux pas. He says a lot of things that are awful. I think some of the way that he handles some of the business and he tries to implement things, I think misses the mark. In saying that, he's our president. I think he's done a lot of the stuff he said he was going to do, and I think he's implemented it well. I think the economy is moving in the direction. You have to give him credit for that. I know a lot of people don't want to. I think there is a lot of things that he's done, and he's taken on that other presidents didn't want to take on, whether it's NATO or immigration, because they just find kicking the can down the road and continuing to do the same thing over and over again. And, a lot of what surrounds this president, though, when we talk about him, is the salaciousness of it all. Doesn't matter what it is. It's the soap opera drama. And it really is, it's getting old. And not that policy's a lot of fun, right? Like, again, it's the sausage being made. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. But the drama is what keeps people engaged. But they're not engaged in it for the politics. They're engaged in the dramatic way, right? They're not engaged into this because they want to see what's going to come out of it and the policy side of it. They like the drama. If policy shows up, they're going to leave. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Emmy Awards were announced. Who got the most? And was Roseanne and the show at all part of the Emmy Awards today? Plus, what's in a word? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
We'll hear some new names this year.
Who wouldn't want to come home to this every night?
Like Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, expected to get some love and some returning names.
There is only one war that matters.
Game of Thrones eligible again after a year off. It'll likely go head-to-head with The Handmaid's Tale, those two favored for top drama. On the comedy side, last year's winner Veep isn't eligible, so we're guaranteed a new winner. Likely either Maisel or Donald Glover's Atlanta.
Thank you for making America great again.
And it'll be interesting to see if Roseanne gets any love.
Well, Laurie Metcalf did, and then editing or something like that did. But as far as, the big winners, Netflix, 112 nominations, right? So HBO did okay. And, Game of Thrones was up with, they topped everything with 22 nominations. NBC Saturday Night Live got 21. How in God's name did that get 21 nominations? What? Westworld 21, The Handmaid's Tale 20, Atlanta 18, The Marvelous Miss Maisel 14, and Barry 13 on HBO. I have, let's see, what shows have I seen here? I've seen some of Westworld. I'm going to say this right now. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Have you, producer Phil? Have you seen any of it?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, fantastic. Whew. And I've seen, I saw the movie Westworld, and I tuned in for, a little bit. I watched half an episode of that, and I was like, whatever. Handmaid's Tale, not seen one episode. Atlanta, nope. The Marvelous Miss Maisel, nope. Barry, I did see an episode of Barry. That's it. Man, I'm awful at this stuff. It's just really, I'm not good at this. Netflix had 91 nominations. To HBO's 111 last year, and this year they picked up 112. And they're spending a ton of money, man. They spend a ton of money, and they're continuing to do so. And stars want to work with HBO's and Netflix because, and it's not fair in a lot of ways. It's not fair. I mean, because TV, the constraints of television, actual broadcast television, ABC, NBC, Fox, and whatnot, it's totally different. I don't think it's fair. When you look at the Emmys and you look at the way they break it down, I don't think it's fair that they have to compete because it's not a level playing field. The constraints that you have, a lot of different things are in there that Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all of they just don't have those constraints. HBO, they don't have any of those constraints. And so in a weird way, it's almost like you're at the point where it's like, should we break it up in two categories? Should we have network television, commercial TV, you still be in the same night, but you break it up in a different way because it isn't fair. The things I'm sure that they would love to do on some of these shows that they can't do because of commercials, because of you got the FCC watching, those kind of things. You just can't do some of that stuff. You can't. So in many ways, you're handicapping them, right? So Netflix, yeah, that's why a lot of these people want to work for all of these networks because of the fact that there is no constraints. I get to go there. And not only is there no constraints on what I can say and what I can show and that stuff, take that away, right? The constraints with Netflix are limited. They just hand you the money if they like an idea, and you go out and you make your vision. Where on the network side of things, you've got all kinds of hoops you have to jump through. So many people putting their finger in the pie. It sucks. So what you dreamed and your vision is, and what shows up on the screen, isn't necessarily one and the same. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Touching today a bit about the Strzok, Peter Strzok. Of course, the infamous text case and the FBI. You know what this does show? A lot of things, as the hearings are going on, is just how inefficient and incompetent at times government can be. And just that, and the other thing, it shows that these guys are human beings. I think we think because you're in the FBI, you're in any of these things, that you're not a human being, that you don't have bias, that you don't have thoughts and feelings, that you don't vote, that you're none of those things, that you're some sort of machine, right? That you have no feelings, you have no emotions, you're just looking at the facts, and there's nothing else wrapped around any of that, as if you weren't raised by other human beings. But today's been nothing but what all of these things are. It is just a giant fest of everybody talking about, what kind of patriots they are, what they meant about this tax, how can I read into this, and then, hey, hold on a second, let me grandstand a little bit.
They would not tolerate any improper behavior in me any more than I would tolerate it in them. That is who we are as the FBI. And the suggestion that I, in some dark chamber somewhere in the FBI, would somehow cast aside all of these procedures, all of these safeguards, and somehow be able to do this is astounding to me. It simply couldn't happen.
It's just, it's Peter Strzok right there. It's just all, to me, I just sit there and I just like, I that's what I've been asking you guys all day. It's like, why do you care? Do you care? And one or two people text and I care. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But why do you care? And then nobody ever tells us why they care. But why? But how does this affect you? Well, it does. But how does it affect you? Well, it doesn't really affect me. Oh, there you go then. Your life goes on and they're doing their thing. And it's why do we get so frustrated over stuff like this? My frustration comes more because I think we should be frustrated the way that our servants, civil servants, work for us in a way that is very, at times, wasteful, at best, uber wasteful, at worst. And this is one of those times where not only is it taxpayer money, when it's a drop in the bucket, waste of time, but it's also a waste of their time when they could be dealing with other things. And that's something we don't get back. And that's a frustration. I think a lot of us have. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. In this day, in this age, you should know better. But it's another one of those things where you say one thing and one word you utter, no matter what the context is, and you're done.
The pizza executive reportedly complained that Colonel Sanders called blacks the N-word without facing public backlash. He also reportedly said that growing up in Indiana, people used to drag African Americans from trucks until they died. Schnatter confirmed the incident to Forbes, acknowledging that he did use inappropriate and hurtful language, adding that regardless of the context, I apologize. Simply stated, racism has no place in our society. But after backlash online, Schnatter was forced to give up his board seat at the University of Louisville. And on Wednesday, the company he started announced that they accepted his resignation as chairman of the board.
So he's out. So Papa John, gone. And what he said, and I don't think they're even explaining it very well. It was some sort of marketing meeting. And again, you should know better. And in the meeting, as he was explaining things, he said, back where I came from in Indiana, racism was so bad and things were so bad that they would drag black people out of cars and that they would do things. And he was explaining stuff. And I said, and then he went on to talk about Colonel Sanders. And as he said something, he says, he would go and say stuff like this. And he said the N-word, and there was no backlash. And he's still a beloved character and an icon in this country. And for the people out there, it doesn't matter the context of what it was, right? It doesn't. It doesn't matter the context of which it was done. And I don't know him. I don't know who he is as a human being. People say, I was talking to producer Anthony. He says, well, he's kind of an a-hole from what I hear. I'm like, yeah, but being an a-hole is not a crime. Is he a racist individual? I think a lot of what this is. And I don't think any of us know any of that because we don't know who he is as a human being. But in this day and age, you've got to use judgment. And but also at the same time, at what point do we look at something and say, is losing everything, if you will, does that fit the quote unquote social media crime? If he's a racist, then hell yeah, I got no problem with it. But if this is, you lose everything. You're off the board at Louisville. You're gone out of Major League Baseball suspended working with you. You're now having to leave the company you started with. Like, is that worth it? At what point? And it's the same thing with the Me Too. And is it a bad joke and you're a jerk, or are you really this way? And then now we got to get rid of you and we're going to take everything away from you. At what point do we stand back and go, wait a minute here? Are we overdoing it? Is this too much? Does this really fit what quote unquote was the social media crime, if you will? Does this fit that? Does the parking ticket really deserve an execution? Because there are some things out there that absolutely do. You know what? You are a awful human being, and as an awful human being, it's better if you just go away. And I think that's with the Me Too and with a lot of this stuff, I think that's a question that's fair to ask in this. Again, I don't know him, and I don't know the context of all of everything. And as a human being, we don't know any of these people. But I do believe that, based on a lot of things, I think it's fair to ask some of these questions. No matter what it is, whether it's, somebody says a dumb blonde joke and next thing you know, this person's a sexist and a horrible human being. Or, at what point do we step back and say, well, wait a minute here. Was it just it was just bad. It was uncouth. It wasn't good. I'm sorry, and we move on with it. I don't know. I'm finding it. I get more and more frustrated. And in a world where I talk for a living, and many of my friends talk for a living, and we do these things, and you talk about the media horde that's out there that's ready to destroy human beings' lives. with a few, strokes on the old keyboard there, tick, click, 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 and then they're done. And they don't think about any of the repercussions, and they don't think about what any of the stuff was. And rarely do they even take a second to find out what the whole story is. It's all about reaction. It's crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us, good, bad, or indifferent. AMAC is amazing. If you don't know who they are the Association of Mature American Citizens, otherwise known as AMAC. Now, if you're over 50, it's an amazing organization, right? You know the other one that's out there, the behemoth that's out there, that maybe you don't share all the same values. Maybe you don't like some of the stuff that they do, and you'd love to find the alternative. This is it. AMAC is doing something amazing right now for my listeners. They're offering a free membership. Free. Free means you don't pay anything. Free means it's free. No credit card, no cost, no hassle. It's simple and easy. You're going to get all kinds of things. Discounts to movies, amusement park, roadside discounts, travel discounts, retail, restaurant discounts, all of those things. And on top of that, they actually advocate on your behalf for a lot of the things that you think about, like more protection on our borders, common sense immigration reform, fixing Medicare, things like that, Social Security, addressing those issues that you care about in a way that you care about because you share those kind of values. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. And again, there's no tricks, no cost, no credit card required. It is a free membership. amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. 888-355-1668 or amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. We got your useless fact of the day straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Are you PC and groupthink brainwashed? Time for a double detox shot of Chad.
I'm Kylie Jenner, and I am the founder of Kylie Cosmetics.
And she's about to become a billionaire, says Forbes, which puts Jenner on the cover of its upcoming America's Women Billionaires issue. They say her cosmetics company is worth $800 million, and her other interests are worth another $100, so the 20-year-old will likely be a billionaire by this time next year. The youngest self-made billionaire ever, beating Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, who was a ripe old 23 when he joined the club. Jenner's advice to aspiring billionaires: do what you love.
So you just have fun every day, and you love what you do.
And look hot. Don't forget that. Look beautiful. But yesterday, people were telling me, Chad, you're insane. It's not true. There's no way that she's becoming a billionaire. How can that be? How is that possible? Because it can. You look, as human beings, and there's a great line. I think Jim Rohn, who is a big-time motivational guy, not Rome, but Rohn, said that we overestimate what we'll do in a year, and we underestimate what you'll do in 10. Many of you listening right now, you have no idea that in 10 years from now, you could be worth millions upon millions of dollars. You've got that idea you've always thought of. How many times in your life have you thought of an idea? You thought of something great, and then you just shelved it and you didn't really pursue it or anything. And then you find out you see it later on that somebody said, hey, you know what? I'm going to take that idea. I'm going to do it. And you come up with something, and next thing you know, it's on the shelves everywhere, and that was your idea. You thought of that. So too many of us, we overestimate. So we think in a year we're going to be millionaires. Well, maybe that's not true. But then we think in 10 years we'll be millionaires, and you could be worth $50 million. So we overestimate in 1 and we underestimate in 10. And I say good for her. Man, I got so much backlash yesterday, producer Phil. People are like, how could you say that? Why wouldn't you? What has she done that's wrong? And when you hear stuff like that, you know what it is? I realize it's the jealousy. People are jealous. Look, can you do what she's done? Probably not, unless you look a lot like she does. Doesn't mean you can't do other things. But it is really interesting to see how angry people get over this story. That, to me, that's a study right there. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is still going on as a commercial break was going on. Producer Phil says, oh my God, it's still going on. It's never ending, Phil. You've got how many? 80, 90 of them that get to speak today, and they each get 5 minutes with this guy? 5 minutes? That doesn't include the breaks. That doesn't include them arguing with each other because the time stops while they argue amongst each other and then it picks back up. It's an 8-hour ordeal, maybe longer. Good God. We waste time, don't we? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. All right. Speaking of wasting time, this is one of those facts that will live inside of your cranium and you're like, why is that there? Because it's fun, kids, because it's fun. In 2015, the University of California learned how and figured out a way to unboil an egg. Let that soak in your brain for a minute. Have yourself a good rest of your day. Donut Friday tomorrow. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.